Today, we're going to talk about all the different types of properties you can buy here in Northern Nevada. It's a question I get all the time, people looking for certain types of properties, and I'm pretty confident in talking with my real estate friends around the country that we have one of the widest varieties of properties that you can buy anywhere in the country. And so today, we're going to talk a little bit about all the different types of properties and some pros and cons that go along with some of those as well. And the first thing, of course, we want to talk about are single-family homes. That is always the usual number one thing that people call me about. The thing about single-family homes in our area is this. If you're coming from some major city or somewhere from the East Coast that has a lot of older homes and older properties, it is something here in Northern Nevada that we don't have a ton of. So like when I first moved here 35 years ago, if you're looking for homes that are built more 60s, 70s, 80s, you can find them. The problem is the majority of those kind of older homes are typically kind of more your cookie cutter, tract homes, starter type homes. But we do kind of on the south, southwest, southeast part of town, there's some really good areas that if you're looking for a single family older home in a really established neighborhood, we do have some of those. But the majority of our single family homes, you have to remember our community has doubled in size in the last 30 years, are more of the newer, I call them Vegas style homes. It's kind of the kind of house I live in, which is a stucco, tile roof, tract neighborhood that's kind of in a master plan community that you just see rows and rows and rows of very similar type housing. So we do have some different options, and we're going to talk about some other single family homes in some different parts of town and some different types of properties. But majority of the stuff we're going to find is if you're looking for older, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Now, the next one that I get all the time is multifamily homes. And typically if someone's calling me about a multifamily home, they're looking at it as an investment property. And so that means it's at least a duplex or a fourplex. If you buy a duplex or fourplex, you can do standard financing. As soon as we get more than 4 units, now we're talking about different types of financing. But here's the one downside about multifamily. And what people have to understand is, I talk to my realtor friends all around the country, is this. I don't know many communities that recently have built duplexes and fourplexes. So majority of them are older, and they're in older areas, and they're in older neighborhoods. So they have all the older stuff that goes along with older properties. There is a section in town, honestly not far from my house, that if you look at it from the outside, it looks like a duplex. It's got a shared wall in the middle, but it's called a duet home, and each side is sold separately. So it looks like a duplex, but you can't just buy the whole thing because one building and one loan in one unit. So it just becomes a little bit of a challenge. But multifamily, again, if you're buying it looking to rent them out, typically like we do property management, and over the years when I first started in it, we managed about 60 doors worth of multifamily and about 100 doors of single family homes. And over time, honestly, we got away from the multifamily because typically it's lower rents. So you're dealing with lower income people, and it was just more turnover and more problems and more headaches, not only with the tenants, but also with the buildings themselves. So it is something you can look into. And if you're going to go over 4 units, it's going to be a little bit different type of financing and something we could talk about, but there are lots of options. There are lots of good options also in the Midtown area where a lot of people already came in and maybe converted some of these multifamily properties. But again, they're going to be more expensive. And I know you see videos all the time about saying, hey, buy a multifamily, live in one of the units and rent out all the others. And if you're a younger person and you've never owned real estate in the first place, trying to do all of this can be a little cumbersome and challenging. And there's just a lot of stuff to it that they make it sound a lot easier than it is. The third option that we see for people are high-rise buildings. And so we used to not have any high-rise options, but over the last 20 years, some of the casinos downtown were converted and now become condo complexes. So there are some options, whether it's the Montage or the Palladio. And again, it all depends on how big the units are, what kind of amenities you're looking for. The original Arlington Tower was built strictly as a high-rise building. That's the only one I could think of in Reno that was originally built that way. Most of the other high-rise buildings we have were conversions that were formerly casinos, and they're all downtown. The nice part now is they've been there long enough to where if you're looking for the amenities, so whether you're looking for grocery shopping and restaurants and things to do, there's a lot more of that now down in that downtown area where those high-rise buildings are. You go a mile or two towards Keystone Drive, and there's all kinds of shopping and stuff there. So it's kind of a lot more convenient for people. When they first went down there was not a whole lot of amenities other than the normal stuff you saw for people visiting downtown that were casino type stuff. So it is an option. Some of the buildings are really nice. Of course, the HOA fees in there can be really expensive. So depending on what you're looking for and what kind of amenities you want, just know sometimes parking, sometimes extra storage, sometimes if they have a pool or not. It just depends on what you're looking for and what cost you're willing to spend. But some of them are pretty affordable, but you got to be careful with those HOA fees and making sure that they're not going to go up dramatically on you. The next one is condos and townhomes. And we'll do a video in the future about the difference between a condo and a townhome, but we have lots of options here. So if you're someone that's looking for something affordable, we can find condos and things at under $200,000. I was just looking at one the other day for a client of mine that we're going to sell. It's going to be in the low 200s. Most of those from the outside look like apartment buildings. A lot of them used to be apartment buildings and were converted into condos. And if you're looking for something under $200,000, ideally it's not going to be in neighborhoods that people are really looking to go to, but we do have some affordable options that way. There are also some complexes like we have in the South Meadows, like Florida Lee, or a few other areas in town where you have more of an upper end, more expensive condo. And again, you got to watch out for HOA fees and all these things, because like in Fleur-de-Lis, they have pools and clubhouses and gyms, and it's gated. Or some of these other condo complexes really just look like an apartment complex and your door faces the street and just walk right up to it. So next one is 55 plus communities. And this is something that's newer in the Northern Nevada area. When I first moved here, it was really hard to find a 55 plus community. We talked about this in one of our other videos. Susan Longero, who works at Tycor, lives in a 55 plus community in the South Meadows. And most of the newer ones are in the South Meadows, it seems like. But here's the thing with the 55 and over. They're obviously built specifically for people looking for smaller lots, maybe coming from another area so you can meet some new people. They always have lots of amenities and pools and gyms and tennis courts and pickleball courts. And it's a way for people to have activities and meet a lot of people, especially if you're coming from another area. The thing that I've noticed with them is mostly they're more expensive. Toll Brothers built a bunch and they're nice and big and really upgraded. But if you're looking for more lower price, more affordable 55 plus communities, there's not a ton of those out there. And the ones that I've seen, most of the clients that I've helped buy or sell them are in the South Meadows. Renting them eventually or maybe selling them in the future is a little bit more challenging because obviously you have a limited audience of people 55 and over versus being able to sell it to anybody. We definitely have those as an option. And some of them, like I said, are really nice. Next one is golf course communities. And golf course communities can be a couple of things. If you want to live, let's say in Montreux or Arrow Creek and be in a golf course community, that's one thing. If you want to actually have a house that's on the golf course, that's completely another thing. But we do have a lot of golf course communities. Montreux, which I mentioned, is the most expensive one. It's up Mount Rose Highway. They have one golf course there, and the homes there, I mean, you're not going to find anything under $1 million. I mean, at this point, it might even be close to $2 million. It's one of the more high-end areas that we have down in the Reno Sparks area. But if you work your way down, we have what's called Arrow Creek. Arrow Creek has 2 golf courses. It's a little more affordable. They have a few more options. There's some track-built homes, there's some custom homes, but both of these are gated communities. And the thing you have to understand about Arrow Creek versus Montreux is in Arrow Creek, it's bigger, there's more houses, it's a little lower down, and with 2 golf courses, you have a little more golf access, but I would also say the golf course at Montreux is a little bit nicer. And both of these, again, you can be a member of these places without living in them. You're going to see traffic coming in and out of them, not a lot. In Arrow Creek, where I used to be a member, I did not live in Arrow Creek, but I was a member of the golf course. And then there's people that live in Arrow Creek that are not members of the golf course that then use the community pool and clubhouse and gym. So you'll get a couple different mixes of people in there, but there's a lot of different golf course options. If you come even a little further down, there's Wolf Run Golf Course. You go into the Sparks area, and we have Red Hawk, and they have a couple of golf courses there. DeAndrea has a golf course that was there, then it went away, and now it's back. And so again, you can live close to a golf course. We're gonna have a little bit more limited supply if you actually want a house that's sitting on the golf course. The next category is ranches and horse property. And we did a video specifically on this a while ago, where if you're looking for something on an acre or 5 acres or 10 acres, or even there's parcels out there that are 40 acres, we have horse property everywhere. So whether you go to the North Valleys out in Red Rock or Lemon and Golden Valley, whether you go out to the Sparks area, you can go south towards Carson City and we have Washoe Valley. If you go past Carson City between there and Minden Garnerville, there's horse property all over the place. And again, when I say horse property, I just mean it's over an acre and typically it's a ranch style house. Not all of them are going to have horse facilities on them. So if you're looking for horse facilities, you're going to have to make a little more specific search, but a lot of people just want big horse property because they have second garages or all kinds of campers and trailers and toys that they want to be able to park somewhere. We can find these, and you can find them really affordable all the way up to spending $1 million plus, just depending on, again, what kind of facilities and what kind of types of things that they have on there. But this is one you really want to talk to us about, because if you're someone who's living in these properties and you're working in town, some of them can get a little outlying and some of them will definitely be on dirt roads. So it's just something you have to worry about if you're not a fan of being on a dirt road. The next thing we want to talk about with all of these type of properties is homeowner associations. So a reason why a lot of people go out on these horse properties isn't because they want horses, it's because they want to be able to do whatever they want and not be in a homeowner association. But then some of the houses that are actually in a homeowner association, you might be in just one. So like where I live in the South Meadows, there's one for everybody, which is kind of the landscape master plan community. Then I have a second HOA, which is basically just rules and regulations, making sure I take care of my landscaping. I'm not parking a car or trailer out on the street. But then there's others that are gated, and if you're gated with a person, and then there's even amenities like pools and clubhouses, those might even be a third HOA. So you just have to be cautious with what the HOA fees might be. And for those of you that definitely either want to be in an HOA or definitely don't, it's just something we need to talk about, because again, this will affect some of the properties that we're looking at on where you want to be and what part of town you want to be in. The last type of property that we're looking at is land. And this is one that's been coming up more and more and more. I have just sold a piece of land for a client earlier this year for as low as $35,000. You can find parcels of lands for $300,000 and $400,000. But what you have to be aware of is this, is I think a lot of people, they go out and see property, they're not seeing exactly what they're looking for, and they're just saying, I'm just going to build a house. And building a house, especially in today's climate after COVID and all these supply chain issues, is not as easy as you think. And the question I get all the time is, well, how expensive will it be to build a house? And a lot of that obviously depends on what kind of upgrades and features and size and what part of town you're in. And the other thing, depending on where you're coming from, if you move here and you're not used to these things, you could be dealing with water right issues, wells, septic tanks. Do I need to hook up to the city sewer, or can I be on a septic tank? Am I off grid and I'm on some sort of solar system. So we have a lot of properties that potentially have a lot of different things, and we've helped clients do all of these things. So if there's something specific you're looking for, we can probably find it. It's just a matter of what is your price point and what part of town you want to be in, and how either rural or urban do you want to be. So with all that being said, we have lots of other videos that answer a lot of questions about the things we briefly mentioned today, but we appreciate you watching the video. By all means, please subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you in the future on another video very soon. Have a great day.